Of the three types of muscle, skeletal is used as the example to explain muscle mechanics. Skeletal muscle is voluntarily controlled, just like you may be taking notes right now and voluntarily moving your hands to do so. Skeletal muscle is striated, which is something we have to dive deeper to in another mini lecture. But for now, know that the arrangement of proteins in muscle fibers creates these stripes that you can see here, right? Dark light, dark light, dark light, dark light. And you can also see these striations very subtly in this histological picture right here, where they go dark light, dark light. They are very subtle, but they are there. We also already know that skeletal muscle cells are cylinder shaped, and pictured at the bottom here is a skeletal muscle at pictured at the right here is a skeletal muscle at two very different magnifications. The top picture is a low magnification, probably something like 40x, and the bottom picture is a very high magnification, probably about 400x. And you can see that all of the cylinder-shaped muscle fibers up here in the top picture, they're all kind of squished together. This picture on the bottom, it's not only from a higher magnification, but it's also from a longitudinal cut of a cell, right? So this is the longitudinal cut, and let's do it here. And here is a transverse cut of those muscle cells. Remember that the challenge of taking a 3D structure and representing it as a 2D structure can be difficult. So what would it look like if I were to take this bundle of skeletal muscle fibers here and cut them transversely? That would look like the picture at the top. You can kind of see the sarcolemma, which is the cell membrane of each of these muscle fibers, because they pull away from each other in the process of drying. And it can create these open white areas like these here, this here, this here. And this is because as the histological slide is made, the tissue is dried up and the water contained in those spaces pretty much evaporates. Smooth muscle is one of the two types of involuntary muscle, which means that you are not in conscious control of your smooth muscle. Right now, make your small intestine contract. Yeah, you can't, because you can't put that demand out there, because smooth muscle surrounding your intestine is not voluntarily controlled by your brain centers that are conscious. Although smooth muscle has these little tiny proteins, actin and myosin, which the other muscles have too, smooth muscle is not striated. And this is because the actin and myosin are not exactly in the same orientation as they are in skeletal or cardiac muscle. Smooth muscle cells are said to be spindle-shaped, and that's hard to represent in a 2D picture. Many students don't make a connection to this anatomical shape, and to be perfectly honest, neither did I when I really first started teaching this. And spindle shape is not represented well in a flat picture. The individual muscle fiber at the bottom right corner of this slide, it illustrates a spindle-shaped muscle. This cell could be also interpreted as simple squamous when you look at it in a 2D picture. But a spindle shape is much like the shape of a flame of those cheap plastic holiday candles that you can plug in and put in your windows, right? It's like a rounded shape pointed at both ends. Take a look at the shape above the individual muscle fiber, which is a sheet of smooth muscle fibers, which they're usually found in sheets. If we were to gather together a whole bunch of these spindle-shaped muscle fibers and then make a cut across them, we would see all different diameters of each cell. And we would also see the different parts of the nucleus in each cell, which is usually smack dab in the middle. And that's what this picture on the top produces. This is a transverse section up here. And look, all of the muscle fibers are of different sizes, because as we cut them here, these are all of different sizes. And the nuclei, they're all in the center, right? But some of these muscle fibers, the nuclei is not even present because maybe we're cutting it right here where there is no nuclei. Take a look at the shape just above, right? If we were to gather together all of these spindle-shaped muscles and then cut them, we would see those different diameters. And that's what would produce this figure up at the top, which is a transverse section of smooth muscle. Smooth muscle, found in sheets, is usually found in two sheets that surround a lumen or an opening of a tube-shaped organ like your small intestine. For example, the two sheets of your smooth muscle cover every single part. I just said fart. That was great. They cover every single part of your gastrointestinal tract, esophagus, stomach, intestines. One of these sheets, and let's draw an esophagus, small intestine, or stomach. It's a tube-shaped organ. One of these sheets wraps around the tube and tightens it, reducing the diameter. So the smooth muscle cells wrap around this way, and when they contract, the tube's diameter gets smaller. The other sheet of smooth muscle runs long ways along the tube, and when it contracts, it shortens the tube's length. These two sheets, they create a longitudinal cut, which is what you see right here on the bottom of this histological slide, but then they also produce a transverse cut, which is what you see at the top of this histological slide, and what also matches that diagram at the top right corner of this slide. Cardiac muscle is similar to skeletal muscle and has actin and myosin, little tiny proteins, in the same orientation. And so cardiac muscle is also striated. Cardiac muscle fibers are a branching shape, and this branching cylinder shape, it's easily shown in the picture on the bottom right-hand side of the slide, but those branching cylinders can sometimes be really difficult to see in cardiac muscle. Oh, wait, I got one right here. Here's a branching cylinder, right there. Oh, there you go, branching cylinder shape. Similar to skeletal muscle, the striations run perpendicular to the sarcolemma, so you can kind of see them all running in this direction throughout this tissue. But in cardiac muscle, there are additional structures that are running perpendicular to the sarcolemma, and these structures are called intercalated discs. Intercalated discs are located where each branching cylinder-shaped muscle fiber comes into contact with the one next to it. Over here on the histological picture, these intercalated discs kind of look like a little bit darker lines that are running perpendicular to the sarcolemma, right? They're faint, but they are there. Cardiac muscle is found only in one place in your body, that would be in the muscle layer of the heart. And this picture that I have right here over on the right is kind of like that right here. And this is the muscle layer of the heart, which we call the myocardium. It's important to realize that there are many layers of tissue in the heart, and that the myocardium is strictly the contractile tissue. But much like smooth muscle, you can try really hard to control your cardiac muscle, but it's not going to work because it's only voluntarily controlled by centers in your brainstem instead of the part of your brain that produces conscious thought.